Jax's revenge domain. You'll never find anything better. Garrett laughed when I handed in my resignation. You're nothing without this company. I smiled and said, You're right. Thank you for everything. His words hit exactly where he intended them to. 20 years of dedication reduced to mockery in an instant. The conference room suddenly felt too small, too warm. My resignation letter, crisp white against his mahogany desk, seemed as dismissive as his attitude. My name is Zachary Morrison, Zach to most people, and I'm 48 years old. Until 3 months ago, I was senior strategy director at what everyone considered the top consulting firm in our industry. What Garrett didn't know that morning was how much I needed this job to work out. See, my divorce had been finalized 18 months earlier. The settlement left me paying $2,800 monthly alimony to my ex-wife Patricia, plus covering half of my kids' college expenses. My daughter Emma just turned 16 and started looking at universities, the good ones that cost $60,000 a year. My son Jake is 14 and already talking about following his sister to college. On top of that, my father had a stroke last year, and even with Medicare, his physical therapy and medications run about $800 monthly. At 48, I was essentially supporting 3 generations on a senior director's salary that had barely grown in 5 years. My base was $85,000, decent enough, but not enough for what life was throwing at me. Every month felt like walking a financial tightrope. I mean it, Zach, Garrett continued, leaning back in his chair with that smile I'd grown to recognize, the one that appeared when he sensed weakness. Who else would hire someone your age with outdated methods? We took a chance on you when others wouldn't. Outdated methods. The phrase hung in the air while my mind flashed back to the client strategies I'd developed over the past 3 years. The healthcare consulting framework that improved client efficiency by 18%. The manufacturing assessment process that reduced operational costs by 12%. The retail transformation model that increased customer retention by 15%. All presented to executives with Garrett's name attached. Timing is unfortunate, he added, tapping his gold pen against my letter. The expansion into West Coast markets needs someone with fresh thinking. Not that you were ever really in consideration. But I had been. I'd spent 8 months researching that expansion opportunity, created a comprehensive market analysis that the executive committee called innovative. My application for project lead had mysteriously vanished from HR's system twice. The position eventually went to Garrett's former fraternity brother, who'd been with the company exactly 10 weeks. I appreciate the opportunities you've given me, I said, maintaining eye contact despite feeling my face getting warm. This feels like the right time for a change. Running away because you can't adapt to modern business, he said, sliding my letter into a drawer. Go ahead. I'll enjoy watching you fail. Here's the thing Garrett didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I hadn't been rejected from that expansion project because I lacked vision or modern thinking. I'd been overlooked because I was already being considered for something far better. The truth is, for the past 4 months, I'd been meeting with Victoria Reynolds during my lunch breaks, and Victoria wasn't just anyone in our industry. Let me back up a bit. I'd been passed over for the VP position 3 times in the past 4 years. Each time, they brought in someone younger with less experience. Each time, they used strategies I'd developed and called them fresh perspectives. The first time it happened, I was disappointed. The second time, I was frustrated. The third time, I started to see a pattern. My ex-wife Patricia had been after me about it during one of our conversations about Emma's college plans. Zach, you've been doing the same job for years while younger people move past you, she'd said during a particularly tense phone call about tuition planning. Maybe it's time to face reality. That conversation stung because she wasn't entirely wrong. I'd been loyal to the company for 20 years, starting as a junior analyst right out of college at 28. I'd worked my way up steadily, earned my MBA at night while working full-time, built relationships with major clients. But somewhere along the way, loyalty became an expectation rather than an asset. The worst part was watching my kids start to question their dad's career choices. Jake had asked me just last month, Dad, if you're so good at your job, why don't you make more money? Emma was more direct. All my friends' parents seem to be advancing in their careers. Why are you still in the same position? Those questions hit harder than any performance review ever could. The day I handed in my resignation started like any other. I'd arrived at 7:15, reviewed client updates, and prepared for the quarterly review meeting. But at lunch, I did what I'd been doing for the past 4 months. I walked 8 blocks to a small cafe called Miller's Corner, tucked between an antique shop and a dry cleaner. Most of my colleagues assumed I was hitting the gym or running errands during these breaks. Nobody questioned why I stopped joining team lunches. Nobody noticed when I returned with notebooks full of ideas and questions. Nobody suspected I was meeting with Victoria Reynolds. Victoria had transformed our entire industry 18 years ago before stepping back from public life. Rumors about her semi-retirement had circulated for years. Some said health issues, others mentioned family crisis, a few suggested secret government consulting work. The truth turned out to be both simpler and more complex than any of the rumors. Our first meeting had been completely by accident. I'd attended an executive leadership symposium that most professionals in our field considered too theoretical for practical application. The session ran long, and I found myself alone with the moderator afterward, asking questions that apparently nobody had thought to ask before. That's when the moderator introduced me to Victoria, who'd been quietly observing from the back corner of the room. "You see patterns others miss," she told me that day, studying me with sharp, intelligent eyes. "That's rare at the senior level. Most people your age have learned to follow established frameworks." That initial conversation led to another meeting, then another. For 4 months, Victoria and I met during my lunch breaks, discussing industry evolution and strategic possibilities. I never mentioned my workplace struggles during those early meetings. Instead, I focused on solutions, innovative approaches, and market opportunities that excited me. She had a way of asking questions that made me think differently about problems I'd been wrestling with for years. "Most senior consultants get comfortable with what works," she told me during our third meeting. "They stop pushing boundaries because they found a formula that pays the bills. You're different." The thing is, I needed those meetings more than I initially realized. At home, conversations with Patricia were mostly about logistics, who was picking up the kids, how we were going to handle Emma's college applications, whether I could cover an extra therapy session for my father. At work, I felt like I was invisible despite being one of the most experienced people on the team. But with Victoria, I felt heard. She'd challenge my thinking in ways that made me sharper, not defensive. When I presented an idea for improving client retention strategies, she didn't just nod politely. She asked tough questions. What happens if the client's industry shifts unexpectedly? How do you maintain flexibility while ensuring consistency? What metrics would prove this approach works better than traditional methods? Those weren't gotcha questions designed to make me look stupid. They were the kinds of questions that helped me build bulletproof strategies. What I didn't realize during those early meetings was that Victoria hadn't actually retired from consulting. She'd stepped back from day-to-day operations to identify the right person to implement her vision for the next evolution of strategic consulting. She was essentially interviewing candidates, but not in any conventional way. "I've been watching how different minds approach systematic problems," she explained during our 15th meeting. "Most experienced people stick to proven frameworks because they're afraid of failure at this stage in their careers. You build new approaches because you're still curious about what's possible." The conversation shifted something in our relationship. Instead of general industry discussions, she started presenting me with specific scenarios, real challenges from her network of former clients who were looking for fresh solutions to complex problems. One scenario involved a manufacturing company struggling with supply chain disruptions. Traditional consulting approaches focused on vendor diversification and inventory management. Victoria asked me to think differently. What if the problem isn't supply chain vulnerability, but supply chain rigidity? I spent a week developing a framework that treated supply chains like living systems rather than mechanical processes. Instead of just having backup suppliers, companies would build adaptive networks that could shift and evolve based on real-time market conditions. "This is exactly the kind of thinking our industry needs," Victoria said when I presented the concept. "But most consulting firms would never let a senior director pursue something this innovative. They'd want it simplified into a standard methodology they could sell repeatedly." She was right. At my company, innovation meant finding new ways to apply old frameworks. Real innovation, the kind that required months of development and testing, was considered too risky for anyone below the VP level. During our 20th meeting, Victoria shared something that changed my perspective completely. "I've been conducting informal research for the past 18 months, she said. speaking with board members from major consulting firms, asking about untapped potential within their organizations. I felt my stomach drop. Was this some kind of corporate intelligence gathering? One board member mentioned a senior director who consistently submitted brilliant strategic proposals that never seemed to get implemented. Proposals that were years ahead of what their competitors were offering. The pieces started falling into place. Lucas Thompson, one of our board members, had always been supportive of my work. He'd made several comments over the years about wishing the company would be more aggressive in pursuing innovative approaches. Lucas provided copies of some of those proposals, Victoria continued, not to share confidential information, but to demonstrate how established companies sometimes fail to recognize the talent they already have. That's when I realized she'd been watching my work for over a year before we ever met. Our accidental encounter at the leadership symposium hadn't been accidental at all. "I don't understand," I said. "Why go through all this effort?" "Because I'm putting together a new kind of consulting firm," she explained. "One that prioritizes innovation over billable hours. One that gives experienced professionals the freedom to pursue transformational strategies rather than incremental improvements." Victoria outlined her vision, a boutique firm that would work exclusively with companies ready to make substantial changes rather than minor adjustments. The client base would be smaller but more committed. The projects would be longer term but more impactful. The team would be senior-level professionals who were tired of having their expertise underutilized. "I need someone to head strategic implementation," she said. "Someone who understands both the theoretical frameworks and the practical challenges of execution. Someone who's been frustrated by the limitations of traditional consulting but hasn't lost the drive to innovate." The position came with a base salary of $119,000, about 40% more than I was making. More importantly, it included equity in the company and bonuses tied to measurable client outcomes rather than billable hours. "The catch," Victoria said, "is that this requires complete confidentiality until we're ready for public launch. The industry doesn't respond well to stealth startups, especially ones founded by people who supposedly retired." I thought about my conversation with Patricia the week before. Emma needed to submit college applications soon, and we'd been arguing about whether she should apply to her dream schools or focus on more affordable options. Jake was watching these discussions, probably wondering if he'd face the same limitations in a few years. My father had been asking if I was happy at work, one of those questions that comes when someone's health scare makes them think about life priorities. I'd been deflecting the question because I didn't know how to answer it honestly. "Can I think about this?" I asked Victoria. "Of course," she said, "but I need an answer within 2 weeks. We're planning to announce the company formation in early December." That night, I sat in my apartment, the smaller place I'd moved to after the divorce, and tried to figure out what scared me more: staying in a job where I felt invisible, or taking a risk that could either solve my family's financial pressures or make them dramatically worse. The decision crystallized 2 days before I resigned, during a team meeting where Garrett presented his new approach to client retention. It was the exact framework I'd submitted 6 months earlier, the one he'd rejected as too complex for practical implementation. Watching him receive praise for my work while I sat silent in the back of the room, I realized I'd already made my choice. The day after my resignation, Garrett sent me an email that I still remember word for word. "When you fail out there, don't come crawling back expecting sympathy or references." I didn't respond. Instead, I spent the next 3 weeks training my replacement, Nicholas Davis, who honestly deserved better guidance than he was going to get. Nick was sharp, reminded me of myself 20 years earlier, eager, hard-working, and probably destined to watch his ideas get credited to someone else unless he learned to navigate office politics better than I had. "Why are you really leaving?" Nick asked me during one of our training sessions. "Everyone says you don't have another job lined up. Sometimes you have to take a leap to find out where you'll land," I told him. It wasn't the full truth, but it was all I could share. My colleagues whispered about my decision during those final weeks. Most thought I was having some kind of midlife crisis. Patricia was more direct when I told her about the resignation during our weekly check-in about the kids. "Zach, this is exactly what I was worried about," she said. "You're 48 years old with 2 kids who need college funding and a father who needs medical care. This isn't the time for career experiments." I wanted to tell her about Victoria's offer, but the confidentiality agreement was ironclad. All I could say was, "I have a plan. Trust me on this." "Trust you?" She laughed, but not in a mean way. "I trusted you to provide stability for our family for 18 years. Now you're quitting your job without telling me what comes next." She wasn't wrong to be concerned. From her perspective, I looked like a guy having a breakdown. But I also knew that staying at the company meant watching my expertise get devalued for another 10 to 15 years until I was old enough to retire. I cleaned out my office on a Friday afternoon while most people had already left for the weekend. As I carried my small box of personal items through the empty hallways, I felt something I hadn't expected. Relief. For the first time in years, I wasn't worried about which of my ideas would get stolen next. Monday morning, I walked into Victoria's headquarters, a converted warehouse space in the business district with tall windows and an open floor plan. 8 senior consultants were waiting around a conference table, people Victoria had recruited from various firms across the industry. "Before we begin," Victoria said, "I want everyone to understand what we're building here. This isn't about working longer hours for higher billing rates. This is about transforming how strategic consulting actually works." She outlined our approach. Instead of selling standardized solutions to dozens of clients, we would develop truly customized strategies for a smaller number of companies willing to invest in substantial change. Projects would typically run 12 to 18 months instead of 3 to 6 months. Fees would be higher, but results would be measurable and transformational. "Zach will be heading our strategic implementation team," Victoria announced. "He's going to walk us through the framework that will differentiate us from traditional consulting firms." For the first time in my career, I presented my ideas without worrying about someone else taking credit. The supply chain innovation model I'd developed during my meetings with Victoria, the adaptive organizational structure that could help companies respond to rapid market changes, the client retention strategy that focused on creating genuine partnerships rather than vendor relationships. When I finished, the room broke into discussion, real discussion, not the polite nodding I was used to. These were experienced professionals who understood both the potential and the challenges of what we were proposing. "The market is definitely ready for this approach," said one consultant who'd come from a Big Four firm. "I've been watching clients get frustrated with cookie-cutter solutions for years." "The risk is execution," added another. "If we promise transformation and deliver incremental improvement, our reputation will be destroyed before we establish it." That's exactly the kind of strategic thinking I'd been craving. People who understood that innovation requires both vision and careful planning. Over the next 8 weeks, we refined our approach and began reaching out to potential clients. The response was better than we'd hoped. Companies that had been burned by traditional consulting were interested in our longer-term, results-focused model. We selected 12 companies for our pilot program using a completely anonymous evaluation process. Companies submitted proposals describing their challenges without knowing who would review them. Our team assessed each submission based on specific criteria: complexity of the challenge, commitment to change, leadership support, and potential for measurable impact, without seeing company names until after scoring was complete. When the final list was compiled and names were revealed, my former company wasn't included. Their proposal had scored in the bottom 20% of submissions. The next morning, Garrett called my personal phone. "Zach," he said, using that fake friendly tone I remembered well. "I've been trying to reach you through Victoria's office." "I've been busy," I replied, keeping my voice neutral while wondering how he'd gotten my number. "I wanted to congratulate you personally, working with Victoria Reynolds. That's quite an achievement for someone at your experience level, at my experience level." Even when he was trying to be nice, he couldn't resist the dig. "Thank you," I said, offering nothing more. "I noticed our company wasn't selected for your pilot program," he continued. "There must have been some kind of oversight. Our submission clearly met all the criteria you published. The selection process was completely anonymous, Garrett. No names were attached to proposals during evaluation. Every submission was judged purely on strategic merit. The silence that followed told me everything." Their proposal hadn't been good enough, not because I'd manipulated anything, but because their strategic thinking wasn't innovative enough. The irony wasn't lost on me. If Garrett had implemented my frameworks during my time there, they might have qualified. "Perhaps we could meet," he suggested, "for professional courtesy. I could provide some insights that might help your project succeed." "That won't be necessary," I said, "but thank you for the offer." 3 weeks later, everything changed. Industry Analytics, the leading trade publication in our sector, published an interview with Garrett that made my phone explode with notifications from former colleagues. In the interview, he claimed that the innovation at the heart of Victoria's consulting approach had actually originated in his department. The fundamental framework was developed under my leadership, Garrett stated in the industry analytics interview. While certain elements have been modified, the core strategic concept emerged from our team's work last year. I sat at my desk, staring at his words until I couldn't focus anymore. This wasn't just about recognition, it threatened our entire project's credibility. If people believed we'd simply repurposed existing work, our reputation would be destroyed before we'd even established it. Victoria called an emergency team meeting within 2 hours of the article going live. Legal is preparing a cease and desist letter, she said. We need to address this immediately. No, I said, surprising myself. That's exactly what he wants, to force us to reveal project details prematurely and get drawn into a public dispute. We need a different approach. The team looked at me expectantly. For the first time, I shared the complete history. How Garrett had systematically buried my proposals while claiming credit for my successful work. How the innovation they were now implementing had been rejected repeatedly when I'd presented it at my former company. I have another idea, I said, one that solves multiple problems at once. My plan was straightforward but effective. Rather than engage in public disputes over ownership, we would accelerate our timeline for the next phase, expanding our pilot program to include 8 additional companies. We would open applications to all qualified organizations and evaluate them through the same anonymous process. If Garrett's company truly understands the innovation as well as he claims, I explained, their next proposal should reflect that understanding. If not, they'll expose their own deception. Victoria considered this carefully. It's risky. We weren't planning to expand for another 6 weeks. The team is ready, I insisted, and this approach lets the work speak for itself. The announcement of our expanded pilot went out the next morning. Applications flooded in, including one from my former company submitted within 3 hours of the announcement. The evaluation team, which didn't include me to ensure complete impartiality, reviewed each submission over 5 days. When the results came in, Garrett's company scored in the bottom 15% of all applicants. Their proposal demonstrated fundamental misunderstanding of the very innovation he claimed they'd developed. But rather than publicizing this failure, I suggested something else entirely. Invite Garrett to our quarterly review meeting, I told Victoria. Let him present his company's understanding of our approach to all the pilot companies and investors. Victoria raised an eyebrow. That's either brilliant or potentially cruel. It's transparent, I replied. If he truly believes they originated these concepts, he should be able to articulate them to industry professionals. The invitation went out with language Garrett couldn't refuse without losing face. An opportunity to share insights as a thought leader at a gathering of industry innovators, he accepted immediately. The quarterly review was scheduled at our headquarters with representatives from all 20 pilot companies plus our investor group. Garrett arrived early, dressed impeccably as always. When he saw me, he pulled me aside. I wasn't expecting to see you presenting at a meeting this high level, he said. Will you be handling logistics? I smiled. Not exactly. Before I could explain, Victoria called the meeting to order. She welcomed everyone, outlined the agenda, then introduced me not just as Chief Strategy Officer, but as the lead architect of our entire consulting framework. Zach will guide us through the strategic foundations before we hear from each company about their implementation experience, Victoria announced. I watched Garrett's expression freeze somewhere between shock and disbelief as I took center position. I outlined the theoretical foundations, practical applications, and preliminary results from our first pilot group. The 14% average efficiency improvements, the 22% reduction in implementation timelines, the 89% client satisfaction rates that exceeded industry standards. When I finished, the room burst into applause, everyone except Garrett, who stared at his notebook. Next, representatives from each pilot company shared their implementation experiences. Results were consistently positive. Efficiency increases beyond projections, cost reductions exceeding targets, unexpected benefits in adjacent processes. Finally, it was Garrett's turn. Victoria introduced him as representing a company interested in joining the program and invited him to share his understanding of how our innovation would integrate with his operations. He stood slowly, adjusting his tie. Thank you for the opportunity, he began. As I've mentioned in recent interviews, many elements of this approach have parallels to work our team developed last year. A murmur ran through the room. Garrett sensed the skepticism and pivoted quickly. However, today I'm more interested in exploring how we might contribute to future development phases. That's when I did something I'd been planning for weeks. I raised my hand. Actually, Garrett, I'd love to hear more about your claim that your team originated this approach. Could you walk us through the specific elements you developed? The room went completely silent. Every eye shifted between us as Garrett's confident expression faltered. He cleared his throat, adjusted his watch, looked around for support that wasn't there. Well, I wouldn't want to bore everyone with technical details, he said. The parallels would be obvious to industry professionals. I insist, I said, my voice steady despite my pulse racing. This is a room full of industry professionals. We're all eager to learn. Garrett's eyes darted around the room, finding no allies. He fumbled through vague statements about innovative methodologies and forward-thinking strategic frameworks while avoiding any concrete specifics. With each evasion, his credibility visibly crumbled. Then Victoria stepped in with the moment that ended everything. While Garrett collects his thoughts, I'd like to share something relevant with the group. She clicked a remote and the screen behind her displayed a comprehensive timeline showing the evolution of our approach. Dated records of every concept development session, test implementation, and revision over the past 3 years. The documentation was irrefutable. What made my heart stop was realizing where this evidence had come from. Before approaching Zach, Victoria continued, I conducted extensive research into consulting firms across our sector. Part of that process involved speaking with board members about untapped potential within their organizations. The revelation hit me hard. Victoria hadn't randomly encountered me at that symposium. She'd been watching my work for over 18 months. Board member Lucas Thompson was particularly frustrated by strategic proposals repeatedly submitted by a senior director but never implemented, Victoria explained. He provided copies of these proposals as examples of innovative thinking being wasted. On screen appeared my rejected proposals, complete with Garrett's dismissive margin notes. Comments like, too complex for client implementation and lacks practical business application. The same exact concepts now forming the backbone of our revolutionary approach. Garrett's face went completely pale. Those documents were confidential internal materials. Indeed they were, Victoria agreed. Which makes your recent public claims to have originated them particularly problematic, both ethically and legally. The meeting concluded in awkward silence. Garrett left without speaking to anyone, his hurried departure creating a vacuum of uncomfortable quiet. 2 weeks later, the industry transformation we'd launched was being called revolutionary. Companies using our framework reported results that exceeded every projection, creating a 6-month waiting list for the next implementation phase. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Dad, my guidance counselor says I should apply to my dream schools. Mom says we can afford it now. What changed? Another text from Jake. All my friends think it's cool that my dad started a consulting company. Can I tell them you're the boss? The biggest text came from Patricia. Zach, I owe you an apology. I should have trusted your judgment. The kids are proud of their father, and honestly, so am I. 6 months later, I received an email from Lucas Thompson, who is now chairing an industry ethics committee. Your former company has implemented comprehensive attribution policies, he wrote. Garrett's replacement credits your departure as the catalyst for cultural transformation throughout their organization. That evening, I finally responded to Garrett's original connection request from months earlier. Thank you for everything, I wrote. You were right. I was nothing without your company. It pushed me to discover what I could become. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's building something so successful that their attempts to diminish you only highlight their own limitations. My kids now see their father as someone who took risks and succeeded. My ex-wife respects the choices I made under pressure. My father, during his good days, tells people his son built something important. At 48, I learned that being undervalued isn't a permanent condition. It's just information about where you currently are, not where you're capable of going. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If you've ever felt overlooked or underestimated in your career, remember, your experience has value, your judgment matters, and sometimes the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. Your next chapter might be your best one yet. At 48, I discovered that the people who dismiss your experience as outdated are usually the ones who haven't earned enough of their own to recognize its true value. Sometimes the greatest gift a toxic workplace can give you is making the decision to leave so obvious that even fear can't hold you back.